Sullivan. I work for Revival Autos, and we convert Austin Healeys to electric. So why Austin Healeys? Well, I think they're amazing, fantastic, beautiful cars, but they have some flaws that converting it to electric solves. So these cars lend themselves very well to conversion. So in here we've got a Nissan Leaf motor with an inverter and the control box, the battery box in front of it, and this drivetrain is with the motors attached to the existing gearbox. So when you're sitting in the car driving, you retain the experience of driving an Austin Healey. You know, the shifting. You don't have to shift if you don't want to. You could leave it in third gear and just drive like an automatic. But if you want to drop it into first or second for some extra power at a traffic light, just to show off a little bit, it works wonders that way. If you go on a motorway, you put it into fourth gear, drops the RPMs down to about 2.5 to 3, and you get a really smooth ride. So this car drives so smooth, it's like silk. It's just down the road. It's amazing. We just got it driving like a day before the show. This is our second car we've done. And the first car is great. This one seems to be even better because it is a more powerful motor than the first one we put in. So this one's got more horsepower than it, and a bigger battery pack. So the range on this one is about 150 miles. So I will never get that because I've got a very heavy foot, and I just put it down and go. But if you drive, relatively conservatively, like any car, the more conservatively you drive, the longer range you'll have. And this car is still got the original brakes on it. Everything's original on this car, except for the motor. And we did take out the battery. We took out the petrol tank in the back. So it has a battery pack in the front and in the back. The weight distribution, having that much weight in the back, evens it out so the car handles better, because these cars had a lot of understeer. And people would put bodies or cement or something in the boot just to give it better performance. And by distributing the batteries like this, it has excellent performance. And we're going to be taking this car on track. So Brands Hatch, I think, is the track we're going to go to. And then we also have been invited to go to Austria to use this car as a pace car by Red Bull for a historic F1 race. So we're looking forward to that. So obviously for that, we're going to have to upgrade the brakes from drums to discs, front and back discs. So what we do is we buy the cars and restore them and then convert them and sell them on. We got 3 more cars in our workshop that we're restoring. And
do you source the cars? Or?
We source them.
Fine. Okay. So where did this one come from?
This one came from the East Coast of California, of the U.S. We have 2 cars in our garage that came from the West Coast, from California. Well, the first car has been sold and is going to Switzerland. This car is going to Dubai. We have 1 car that's going to, the next car, I believe, is going to go to Florida. And I think the one after that is going to Chicago. So the customers are all over the world. Yeah, we just need to get known.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the more known we get, the more people start talking to us, and it'll just go from there. But we're a new company. We've only been around a year, or less than a year, actually. I've been restoring my own cars for the past 15 years now, and doing ground-up restorations. All the cars that I've driven in the past 10 years, I've rebuilt completely myself, and I love that. So this is great because it combines software development. It combines restoration. It combines classic cars. All my loves go into one job. So for me, it's like the dream job for me.
How difficult was it to allow the batteries to work with the car, in the sense of the learning curve?
It was actually quite easy. The learning curve required was, because we're using Nissan Leaf batteries and battery management system, inverter, and motor. They all work together, except we have our own control box, our own controller board. We make our own circuit board that has our controllers, that controls everything. And we have other little controllers for the rev counter, the heater system. We have a Tesla water heater that does an amazing job making very hot water. it's a really good system. Plugs right in, and we have our own little controller for that. And I've got another little controller for a little display that we're going to be adding to the car that tells you lots of good information about the status of the car. Let's say like your RPM graph, you can see things like that, the range, various data points like that. So, but creating the boards is probably the hardest part. Getting the board to do everything for you because you don't want to use the whole controller for the Leaf motor because it's huge, bulky, and unnecessary. So this is so much smaller and lighter. So it's a way to keep the weight down as well, and we have more control over it this way as well. In 5 years from now, we will have a workshop in California and possibly on the East Coast. And we'll be building up the components here, shipping them to these places, converting the cars in them. So we'll be more direct, hands-on in these other locations. Instead of just shipping a car there after somebody buys it, we'll be buying cars there, restoring them and converting them there. But we'll still have the headquarters here in London. We're one of the last car companies in London.
Yeah, you are.
So we want to stay that way too. I have a special love for Healeys. Rescuing them, restoring them, keeping them on the road, and making them better. Oh, something I should mention that's really important about this, why this is such a good conversion. Healeys have several issues. Weight distribution issue with a big lump in the middle, understeer. Another one is the engines run so hot that the passenger, and the driver as well, just melts with all the heat. Like the one I owned while I was living in the Netherlands, I never got out of that car without my back dripping with sweat. It was awful. I did not like that at all. I didn't mind selling the car because of that, mostly because of that. Reliability as well, it's more reliable. It's smoother. This car just does really well as an electric car. It's good. We don't make them Concours because people are afraid to drive Concours cars. And I find Concours cars removes all the history, and I don't like that. It's good to have some of the history with the cars, a little bit of patina here and there, because it's a historic car. It needs some history. That's why it's the history of it. So we want to maintain some of that. So we restore it and make it so you can drive it daily.